This story is called The Chocolate Ring. Chocolate is my favorite dessert. Chocolate is my favorite lunch. Chocolate is a wonderful thing. I don't argue much on the topic of chocolate. I don't speak much on the topic of chocolate. It's more something that just happens. Finding a piece of chocolate for me is like looking at the Eiffel Tower. That and watching the sights from a plane pointed towards the stars. With every crunch of a bar, I watch as my hand slowly closes, grasping at another piece. And I wonder what a great piece of chocolate that was. But things started changing when I ate chocolate. Started melting, rotting, and the taste was off putting at best. While I was scrambling into my pocket to find a piece that I'd saved, I was not aware of my surroundings and I fell down into this well, hitting my left temple on a stone brick. I was bleeding. Then, more thoroughly checking my pocket, I grabbed at it, moved around, and found no chocolate. This was so odd for me because I always made sure to have at least one piece with me at all times. I was always prepared, always prepared. Instead, how odd just thinking of it. There was around me a half moldy piece of blue cheese, a pineapple, and a rat which hadn't consumed the food already. This did confuse me, but why would I think about this when there were obviously more important issues at hand? Doing this seemed like a waste. Instead, I got up and started slowly climbing the side of the wells, scratching my back, but it was fine as a price for getting out. It wasn't too far deep, and the bottom had already dried, so there was no water to stop me from getting higher or to weigh me down. But after climbing, I found that it felt wrong. There was something that was off. I looked around and everything seemed blurry. My arm was being struck with sharp pains, and just raising my head was now almost impossible. Again, confused. How was I out of it so many times in such a short period? Even falling over again. I'm not sure anymore what was happening, and even when I try to recollect it now, it still seems a bit blurry, and I fail to completely understand what happened. almost like most of them. But my eyes feeling blurry and slowly closing. What felt like them closing for a second and then opening. I found myself on a reclining chair in a random lobby or something like that. I don't remember how I got there, but I knew I was there. My eyes now open from the bright lights, very bright lights above, but my eyes were more drawn from the side of the bright lights. How, although there were these almost sterile bright lights above, the wall was anything from clean and contained. It was plastered in green, red, dirt, mud, anything and everything you could think of in a sort of mirage. It came together once my eyes unblurred and focused on what I could see in front of me. I was shocked by it. I wouldn't have expected to see such an odd combination of objects together. It was old and decrepit, even foreboding, but instead of checking again or wondering how I got here, I just got up from the chair, walked down the hall, but where the door was supposed to be, where the door was supposed to be. Hmm, this is where the door is supposed to be. I remember this place. I feel like I've seen this. My eyes blur again, slowly closing. And then when they open, now this time, I find myself outside again, looking down at the well from outside. It was shut and closed with a rock with the weight of what seemed like 10 men being placed over it to prevent anyone from getting in it or falling by accident, which confused me even more since it was just open. The building next to the well was covered in windows, boarded up, abandoned. The road was unpaved. All around it was just sand and mud placed together so unnaturally. The whole area seemed very empty, aside from the building, the well, and one slightly built road. However, the roof of the building was slowly falling over and looked as if the slightest breath of wind could bring the whole thing down. The area was so weird. Why was it so specifically done and put together this way? I wandered past the building, walked past the walls that my eyes could never seem to focus on. Along the way of this semi visible path, I could see a tree. It was different, from any of the surroundings. And although not the most visible or cleared, the path did diverge from here. There was a path from the tree that led back, and then a path to the right, which was green, lush, seeming to be very clean grass. And then to the left, there was nothing. How was there nothing? Nothing at all. This wasn't me seeing things wrong. This wasn't anything to do with my vision, not focusing enough, or any blur. It was like something was there, but I couldn't tell what it was in any way. I walked towards the tree, feeling dizzy and nauseous. I let out a snarl response to the uncomfortable situation. Finally, I passed out. I don't open my eyes instantly this time. They feel slightly glued shut or something like that. I can move my hands, my feet, but there's nothing this time. Not in front of me or to the side. It just feels like I'm in the middle of nothing. No ground beneath me, but I'm not falling. There's no sky above me. There's no rain. Where am I? Is what I ask to myself. What do I eat? As hunger seemed to take over my mind. But this time I grabbed something out of my pocket. I bit it once, and then twice, and then it was gone into my stomach. Are you okay? I hear the person behind me. I open my eyes and I see that they look worried. And I could only bring myself to say, yeah, I'm fine. They assist me up with their shoulder. I sit down on what is now an old chair, scratched and torn. I look at the wall of this old room, and to the side, the door opens. There's a room with nothing aside from the wooden walls and the door that leads into it. A room where the only pastimes are your own imagination. Only ambient light from outside reaches. No sources inside of the room. No windows. Just a shut wooden room. But outside of the room, something did catch my eye. It's almost the same color, but a slightly different shade from the old rustic wood. Slightly newer, in a sort of rectangular shape. A cutout that is different from the wall. I think I've seen it before. And again, with muscle memory, I reach into my pocket, but Instead of eating it, I place it into the hole. It, it opens slightly. I fully open it and grab the first thing I see inside. I take a bite, and there I am, sitting down, tuning out the beeping noise, feeling much better, less shaky. I close my eyes and sit there as I wonder.